We're starting very shortly. Happy Wednesday, my friends, and welcome to day 3 of 12 Days of Christmas. So if this is your first day joining me for this series, it's really all about celebrating the holidays, and I am doing 12 videos in a row, and some of them are project videos and others are shopping events. So far, I'm doing my second project, and the first one, you may have joined me for this one, was the icicles. So today we are making Christmas tree ornaments, and they're right here in front of me. So I have 3 little ornaments for you to choose from. However, I also grabbed a couple of ornaments, well, 2 ornaments that I have left from last year, and I think literally all we have are just the 2. So if you like these 2, they're from the previous year, and they are already put together, and they're in the Etsy shop. But as I said, they're not very many. So today we are going to be making White Christmas. This is White Christmas. This is Tinsel. And this is Rose Sparkle. And it's very easy. It's really one of the easiest projects ever. It is literally just like making an earring. You guys have made earrings before with head pins, and this is going to be exactly like that, only a little bit more stacking, and one of them is probably a little bit less intuitive than the other 2 because there are a few little, or a couple of these little secret things that hold everything together. So I would love to say hello to you before we get started with the project.
Jolene says hello.
Hello, Jolene.
Allie says hi. Can't wait to see the projects.
Hi, Ellie. Yay, I can't wait to show you the projects. And I am going to start with Tinsel. So I'm actually going to move my little forest, my little mini Christmas tree forest, to the corner. And I'm going to pour everything out and show you how it all stacks. So this is what I want you to know. I took everything out of the little bags. However, when you get your kits, there is going to be, in every one of these, is going to be a little tiny bag, sometimes with just one little teeny tiny component, and one of them is going to have a couple of the teeny tinies. So please look for that little tiny bag. It's so small, it's very easy to overlook. Okay, so now this is the tree we are making. And the size of the tree, you know, it can be an ornament or it can be a pendant. In my world, it's really more of an ornament. Okay, so, and this one is backwards. Actually, a couple of them are backwards, so I'm going to turn them around. Okay, if you're wondering why it's backwards, because I really like the ornate side of the star. Although the other side is very nice too, but I like the more ornate side. Okay, this is how incredibly easy it is. I told you it's exactly like making an earring. We're just literally stacking all of our components onto this nice long head pin. And as you saw, I started with this beautiful filigree flower. And so that's going to keep our tree nice and flat. And next we're going to put the bead on, and this is a brass bead, so it gives us a little bit of contrast. And next I have those big, beautiful rhinestone rondelles. I have one of those. And have you ever seen a UFO? Well, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, on Halloween, I did a video where I featured Ashley Burns. She is a wonderful, talented artist. She makes UFOs, but this is a different kind of UFO. So this is, it's kind of like two rondelles back to back, except they are asymmetrical. And so it just makes this lovely little UFO shape. And it is such a good shape. It's totally conducive to building this little tree. And next I have, if you watched me last night, you saw these Swarovski rhinestone beads. And yes, these are vintage Swarovski. They're either from the 50s or pre-1950. And so that goes on next. So, you know, when you're building these little trees, and I know that some people really like my kits and some people want to build their own. If you notice, this is what I do. I find things, this is the really, there's not a difficult part, but if there is a slightly challenging part, it's finding the components that are going to nest. And so this little UFO, it's a perfect little nesting component, because when you put this nice round bead on the head pin, it just nests in that depression of the UFO component. And now we have a 3mm Swarovski bicone, and it's just this perfect little 2X crystal AB color. And finally, we have our star to top it off. So you can see that even before I wrap it and give it a nice tight loop, it just stands on its own. It's really quite stable. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And so now, before I do the wrapped loop, I'm also going to stack the other two trees. So we have our rose sparkle tree. And again, oh, where is it? You know what? I'm missing a component. Well, don't worry, you're not going to be missing anything when you get your kit. You know, so Tony is offering to get me, it's this little one that I'm missing. Should I just disassemble it? You know what? Maybe that's what I'll do. I will simply disassemble the tinsel tree, and I will use the 6-petal component from that. So we start in the very same way with the 6-petal component, and next we have the rose, which, you know, pretty much makes the whole piece. And I'm going to string that next. So this is a Swarovski rose, which actually, here, I'll show you. It actually starts out like this with a nice little center, and it's a beautiful component, except the center is not conducive to this type of stacking. So for these kits, we actually take out the centers, and then it becomes a lovely stacking component. Okay, so remember we just talked about nesting, and this lotus flower bead, can you guys see how pretty that is? Well, unfortunately, we're not actually going to see much of the lotus flower, but what we love about the lotus flower for this project is this, the back of the lotus flower matches the center of the flower of the rose exactly, and look how beautifully it stacks. And now we are going to put our large rondelle on the head pin. And once we have that, we are going to use the half UFO. So this is not a full UFO, this is a half UFO. You can see it's flat on one side, and then it has the beautiful little rhinestones on the other side. Now, sadly, no one is going to get to see the rhinestones because we're going to put this on here, rhinestones down. So this is all in the name of stacking and making things stable, and also creating that Christmas tree shape. So next, I found these rondelles that are a light rose, and they're just absolutely perfect for this project because, you know, it's really fun to have a couple of different shades of pink or rose. So a little more stacking and nesting. This is a really special little Swarovski bead. I know you guys have probably never seen this Swarovski bead because, or maybe some of you have. If you've been to Eclectica, you may have seen it in the Swarovski, the vintage portion of the Swarovski case, because this is a very old bead. This is a vintage Swarovski bead. It's from the 50s. And this is going to nest perfectly in that rose rondelle, the way that the rose rondelle is shaped. Here, let me just lift that up. It's a little bit concave. So our hexagon, our vintage hexagon Swarovski bead, is just nesting so nicely in that concavity. And then, but wait, here's more. We have more Swarovski yet. And this one is a Swarovski rondelle. It's a 6mm rondelle. And finally, I have our teeny tiny, this is the teeny tiny little bicone right there. And finally, we have the star. And here is our star. Okay, and that is our rose sparkle tree. So as you can see, there's really nothing difficult about this. And lastly, we are going to stack the white Christmas tree. And the white Christmas tree is probably a little bit less intuitive than the other two, which is, this is why I really like showing the stacking order, because sometimes you don't know exactly what's inside and what is keeping things stable. Like, for example, the lotus bead in the rose tree, you can barely see. So in the white Christmas tree, there are a couple of little components that are going to stabilize everything. So I have this pretty awesome carved shell component, and at this point this component is pretty vintage. When we bought it, I want to say maybe 20 years ago, and yeah, it's an older component, maybe 25, and it's gorgeous. So we obviously had to buy everything there was, and we are sadly coming to the end of these components. Obviously, it's not anything that we can get anymore. I always talk about how when you find a really cool carved piece that you like, please just get it, because those pieces are just not getting made anymore. No one is really carving a whole lot of shell. There's still a little bit of that work being done, but not like it used to be. Okay, so as you can see, the carved shell component, it's mother of pearl actually, has a very large opening. So in order for all of this to hold its shape really well, we are going to put something in that opening so that we can stabilize it. So right there, this is the beginning of stabilizing the component. And let me backtrack. What I put in the, okay, so it really fits the hole. So what I put inside of the opening is this little cubie. I'm a big fan of cubies. This happens to be a larger cubie. And of course, no one is really going to see it, but it's going to serve its purpose by stabilizing the carved shell component. And then we are going to string this little tiny, this is like the tiniest of bead caps. This is, you know, I'm being a little wistful right now. This is an old Tiara cast component. You guys remember Tiara cast? We all miss Tiara cast. They made such great findings. And so this is like the tiniest of bead caps. And I'm putting this bead cap on right after the cubie. And what this bead cap is going to do is it is going to stay, oh, you know what? Actually, no, I even forgot where the bead cap goes. That was not a good place for the bead cap, but this is. So first we string that very, very large rondelle, and now we string the bead cap on narrow and down, so that the narrow end of the bead cap goes right into that large hole of the large rondelle. Okay, so that makes sense. Now the rondelle is stabilized, and now this is so cool. I don't know if you remember these beads, but I have shown them before. This is the loveliest little carved pumpkin, and it is carved out of quartz. So this is quartz crystal, and we are stringing that next. And then we have the half UFO. This is the little half UFO, and it's crystal AB. It's just like the bigger one in shape. And as you can see, it has that concavity. So we're going to string. This is actually not Swarovski. This is Preciosa. But this is a lovely crystal AB 6mm round bead in Preciosa, and a 3mm bicone. And finally, we have the star. So there it is. What do you guys think? So obviously it is very easy to stack beads. Anybody can do that. But the key is, don't forget those little tiny components that nobody can see. It's our little secret that they're there to stabilize the whole thing. And I'm going to pick one to actually finish, and that is going to be my rose sparkle tree, because I don't know, I'm just really loving these rose trees these days. And so we're going to finish it just by making a wrap loop. So when I make a wrap loop for this, I don't actually leave a whole lot of room. I keep the gap between the top bead, which is the star, and where I make the angle, I keep it very short. And then I'm going to use my round nosed pliers, and you guys have done this like a schmillion times probably. And we're going to make a loop. And if anybody needs a little help as far as how to make a really good loop, I have some basics videos where I show how to make a really nice wrapped loop and make it easy. And so now we are just going to wrap this. And what I found, this is what I found. If you want to get very, very close and make it nice and tight, my tip is just keep turning the star and keep getting it out of the way as you make the wrap until you're done. And I think I'm done. And I am going to cut off the excess wire and pinch in that little wire and ta-da! We are all done. So what do you guys think? Was that really easy? When you have all of the components, I promise it is so incredibly easy. So I guess I'm just going to take one of these away. And so there is my little Christmas tree forest.
Kathy K says, pretty little trees.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathy. I appreciate it. Okay, my friends. So now that we're done making the tree, it was almost too quick and too easy, right? It's rare that our entire project consists of just one head pin. And here, stack a few things on the head pin and you have yourself a little ornament. Okay, so what can I tell you? I'm going to give you a nice little preview of everything that is coming up.
Kathy K says, I still have your lapis bead tree.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much, Kathy. In fact, you just reminded me. So I'm going to add these to my forest. So sadly, oh no, I do know what they're called because I didn't, they're from last year. So, so we have the gilded topaz, and this is the gilded topaz. That's why I grabbed the actual sample, the kits, so that I would remember what they're called. And then we have blue spruce. And I believe we only have one of each left, although I don't know, it could be one of each in the store and one of each in the Etsy shop. I'm really not sure, but we have at least one of each. So if you like those, they are available through the Etsy shop. However, if you like my trees from this year, and that is the three little trees in the middle, those are available through our Shopify store.
And all of those links are in the comments.
Yay! Yay, links! They make everything easy. Okay, my friends. So, tomorrow, Thursday, November 13th, we are going to do another video on the same Facebook page where you are right now, the Eclectica Facebook page. Same time, 4 p.m. And tomorrow, what I'm going to focus on for the shopping event, and yes, this is going to be a shopping event. So I'm going to focus on all of the components that you could possibly use to make the trees. Also, when I did the shopping events for the icicle, I forgot to include these little drops. So I will be sure to include those. So the little bauble drops that are sparkly and fun, we'll have those. And there will be a few more surprises, like we'll have some angel wings and you'll just have to join and be surprised, right? Okay, so that's what's happening tomorrow. So that's going to be our fourth day of our 12 Days of Christmas event. So it's going to be all about festive, fun components about Christmas tree, or for Christmas trees rather, and angels and more. And then finally on Friday, November 14th at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on the same Facebook page, but not at the same time. Again, it's going to be at 9 a.m. We're going to have day 5. And for day 5, we are going to have all sorts of blingy gifts and useful gifts for beaders. And so it's really going to focus on the gifts as well as the charms.
Kathy K says, love the pendant you are wearing. Is it Mabe Pearl?
Oh, thank you so much. Which one? What am I wearing? This
That's, yeah.
It's actually one of my
Can't see it.
metal clay pieces. It's a fine silver piece, I should say. And you know what? I think maybe I will include some of my pieces in one of these videos too. You just gave me a really good idea. Okay, so this is just me thinking out loud. So, okay, my friends. So I can't wait to have more of these events, and I look forward to tomorrow, where we do this whole exploration of all sorts of interesting components one can use. And so I hope you join me tomorrow and Friday. And then, of course, the plan is that next week we have 5 more videos, and that's Monday through Friday again. And the following week, the week of Thanksgiving, we're doing the 2 remaining days of Christmas. So that's going to be day 11 and 12. And that is our entire plan. So in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for your comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful and creative evening.